Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It's Tuesday, the 26th day of May. It is National Blueberry Cheesecake Day. It's also National Paper Airplane Day. Are you a fan of paper airplanes?
Sure.
You know,
I wouldn't say like I'm fanatic about them or anything, but
when I was a little kid, I was fascinated that you could fold up a piece of paper and like make it fly. And I just thought that was the craziest thing. I'm like, how do we figure this out? I'm like, this is just the greatest thing ever. And then I tried to make a bigger and bigger and bigger paper airplane. I used like a newspaper to fold a paper airplane and try to make it. It did not work very well. The paper was just too flimsy. So I don't know. Anybody got some tips for me on how I can make that better? It's also a Tuesday. That means we have
Tuesdays with Charlie.
Yeah, we're going to call Heidi's dad. It's a little thing we like to do every Tuesday. It's Tuesdays with Charlie. That's on the way. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Many people have dabbled in the stock market for their very first time ever this year. If you're new to the market, but you don't want to learn things the hard way and the expensive way, I encourage you to subscribe to this free newsletter. You can get the inside track with Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com. Subscribe for free. If you change your mind, just unsubscribe. Sign up for free right now at marketbeatminute.com. That's marketbeatminute.com. Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. A British study found that the average person will spend 34 years of their life staring at screens. I say, as I'm reading this from a screen.
I'm sure. I bet.
I guarantee you we're way above that.
Oh, I'm sure we are, yeah.
Because we spend a lot of our day looking at screens. You know, you'd think that this show just, like, plans itself, but we actually do have to look for this stuff. So. And sometimes not so easy. But yeah, again, 34 years of your life you spend staring at screens. This is a survey. No, this is actually a study from Surveys and Studies and Such, brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com.
Some credit cards have really high rates or big annual fees. Usually, people sign up for these when it's all they qualify for. If that sounds like you, it may be time to get a better credit card. Over time, your situation changes, and you may qualify for a better credit card. Your current card hopes you don't think about it, but our site shows you many options to see if there's a better credit card for you. Check it out for free at BetterCreditCards.com. That's BetterCreditCards.com.
This is your Brain on Drugs, brought to you by TimeForRehab.com. A Vero Beach, Florida couple had a bit of an incident, we'll say. They were in the park grilling oysters, and it ended with battery charges.
Uh-oh.
So it sounds funny to me, battery charge, because you charge a battery, and it's like a completely different thing. But according to their statement, 53-year-old Jerry Harris had a weapon of choice, which was a beer, and his failed weapon was a beer. 44-year-old Latrice Harris, her weapon of choice was a screwdriver. Jerry and Latrice both told deputies had been grilling oysters in the park when an argument started involving Letitia McGriff. That's Latrice's sister.
Okay.
Latrice and McGriff decided to leave the park, but Jerry caught up to her, began dousing her in beer, and then hit her with a beer bottle. And that's when she picked up a screwdriver Jerry had been using to shuck oysters and stabbed him on the top of his head.
Oh, holy cow.
Jerry was charged with misdemeanor battery. Latrice was charged with felony aggravated battery. So,
but that was self-defense, right? I mean, he was coming after her with a broken beer bottle.
Well, but you don't stab somebody in the head. I don't know. I wasn't there. It was alcohol-fueled, and that's what happens when your brain is on drugs. Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com. Mary-Kate Olsen, she's one of the Olsen twins.
Yes, she is.
She's divorcing her French husband, Pierre Sarkozy, after 5 years of marriage. By the way, Sarkozy is 50, Olsen is 30. Mm-hmm. So if you do the math, that means, I don't know, doesn't mean
You'd think they'd have more in common, and this would have worked for sure.
I don't know. Doesn't matter. We discovered, a friend of ours was telling us like a week ago that the Olsen twins are billionaires, which still amazes me, but, you know, they are. Moving on to little screen, the Daytime Emmys ceremony is coming back to broadcast. After streaming online the last 4 years, the Daytime Emmys will air on CBS this year. So CBS and the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences said the 47th annual show will air as a 2-hour special on Friday, June the 26th. The Daytime Emmy Awards honors individuals and programs broadcast between 2 a.m. and 6 p.m., as well as certain categories of digital and syndicated programming of similar content.
Okay.
So it had gone to online only. Now it's back to the old little screen, so the TV, which is kind of cool. This has been Big Screen, Little Screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com.
We're here to make it better.
If you find that drug or alcohol problems are hitting you too close to home, you can get help. Maybe it's time for rehab. Your insurance may even cover everything. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. Get help for a drug or alcohol problem within 24 hours.
We're here to make it better.
Get more information at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Now your scoop of the day. It comes your way courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Prince Harry is said to be feeling rudderless without his job and his friends now that he's moved to Los Angeles.
Rudderless.
Okay, I can understand without his friends because he grew up in England and all of his friends were in England, but what did he ever do for a job?
I don't know.
He was a prince.
A prince.
So it's not like he had to, got to go clock in and get to Princin. I mean, there's not really. So
I really don't know what their duties entail. I'm sure he had to do something.
Public appearances, maybe.
I mean, we learned not too long ago the Queen is a mechanic, so
who
knows
anymore.
what he did.
She's a former mechanic. Get it right. So Prince Harry is said to be feeling rudderless. So if you're in the L.A. area and you want to hang out with the prince, apparently he's looking for stuff to do. Mask-taken identity. M-A-S-K-T-A-K-E-N.
Okay.
Mask-taken identity is a new word. And it's when you think you recognize somebody only to realize you're mistaken because their face is covered with a mask. And you're like, hey, how you doing? And then they pull the mask down and you're like, you're not who I thought you were. So apparently this happens a lot. I can understand that because I've had people come and talk to me.
And I have the opposite problem. I have people wearing masks who know me and they're talking to me and I have no clue who I'm talking to.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I could see how easy this would be because I have had 2 different times somebody come over and they're chatting with me. And I think they can tell by the dumb look on my face that I have no idea who it is. And they're like, they finally tell me, and I'm like, oh, yeah, Mom, how are you? Okay, it's not really Mom, but you know what I mean. I'm just using that as an example. A Gallup poll found that Americans are experiencing, quote, less worry and more happiness, end quote, now that states are easing lockdown restrictions. You had to do a survey to figure that out? Saying, hey, now that you can leave your house and you can go where you want to go.
Are you a little happier?
Are you happier or are you sadder? I'm like, I'm so sad that I get to have some resemblance of what life used to be like. A British study found that dogs go through puberty at the age of 8 months. So,
okay.
It says they're harder to train when they're 8 months old because they're experiencing frustration and teen angst.
No.
So if you've got a dog and you're trying to train that dog, maybe steer clear of the training in the 8-month period because I don't know how long that takes for them to go through puberty.
I don't know. That's interesting.
That's when it starts, apparently. And a new survey found that 30% of Americans have raided their retirement savings during the corona pandemic.
Yeah,
so 30% of people have gone through and just, pillaged what they had saved for a rainy day or a later day because, well, this was a bit of a rainy day.
Terrifying.
So that's really sad. By the way, I want to let you know, I read several little surveys and polls and studies there. We have a special feature with that, surveys and studies and such, but I have them stacking up. I had like 30 of them. So I'm going to start sprinkling through other parts of the show, too, because I'm like, by the time I get to some of these,
it's going to be old news.
Probably. This has been your Scoop of the Day. Thank you for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
Do you pay too much for insurance? Have you looked around? Or are you too chicken? Don't be afraid to look around to see if you can find a better deal at InsuranceChicken.com. We make it super simple for you to see rates from several different companies, to see what they have to offer, all in one place. Heck out great insurance deals at InsuranceChicken.com. Is it time for you to cross the road? See if we can save you money each month at InsuranceChicken.com. That's InsuranceChicken.com.
And it's time right now for my favorite program, something we do every Tuesday just because we can. We pick up the phone and we call my father-in-law for a little thing we like to call
Tuesdays with Charlie.
It's Tuesdays with Charlie on the John and Heidi Show.
So what are we going to learn today?
Hey, did you know that when you flush your toilet, an invisible cloud of water full of germs shoots 6 feet in the air.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's kind of gross. That's where you're supposed to close the lid first.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. I bet you'll close the lid now, won't you?
No.
No, I never close the lid.
Don't care.
I really don't care either.
There are some who flush while they're still on the toilet to avoid that.
Then it squirts up on you.
No, I suppose it would.
And you smell anyway, so it'll make no difference.
There you go. Whatever it takes.
Well, let me ask you, have you ever milked a cow by hand?
I have. It's been a long time ago, but I have.
Okay. How many squirts in a gallon of milk?
Ooh, boy, I bet there's a lot. Probably, I'd say 75 squirts.
340 to 350.
Yeah, I was going to say it's way more than 75 because I've seen them do it. I've never done it, but not much
It's a lot of
comes
squirts. See, I knew it was a bunch. I underestimated the amount of squirts.
Hey, then, a tomato plant was found on the 40-year-old volcanic island Birchie. Scientists were boggled as to how it got there. Apparently, it was from a scientist taking it served as a natural compost.
Huh.
I wonder if it could have been from a bird flying over and doing that.
No, because they run a test on it. It was a...
Either that or it was just a really, really big bird.
Somebody was out there doing something they shouldn't have been doing. Hey, then researchers at the Georgia Institute of Technology discovered that all mammals over a certain size, including humans, take approximately 21 seconds to pee.
We talked about this before. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that too because you were timing yourself.
I was. And it's right. It's like almost exactly 21 seconds.
Well, wait till you get a little older. It takes about 35.
Well, and if you drink a lot, like I was drinking a ton of water for a while there, and then it was like way more than 21 seconds. So maybe that's too much information.
Maybe just a bit.
And did you know that humans are the only animals on Earth that chew gum?
Well, of course we are. You think you're going to have a donkey pull out a stick of bubble gum? That's not going to happen.
You give a monkey a piece, he will chew it for a couple of minutes, then take it out and stick it in his hair.
Well, I think the same thing happens with Charlie, so just kidding.
So a monkey can't chew gum, he just don't like it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how upset the other monkeys that have to clean that monkey's hair would be when they're trying to get that gum out of his hair?
Probably not thrilled.
WD-40.
Yeah.
All over him.
Monkeys don't have that.
Well, they don't have gum either, but somebody give it to them.
Probably some jerk at the zoo.
I'm just trying to figure out how that whole entire experiment went right there. I think it was on purpose or
We should
just
try that
accidental?
next time. Hold a stick of gum into the monkey cage.
No. Pretty sure we get kicked out of the zoo again.
You want a stick of gum?
You ready for a question, Charlie?
Yeah.
All right. Boeing 767 airliners, the big, really big airplanes, how many different parts does it take when they're putting that together to make one of those? It's a lot.
Oh, goodness.
And I know you're probably not going to have the answer, but
No.
this is the kind of fun stuff we like to ask.
Well, just tell me how many, because I have no idea.
If you were going to just guess a number, and
Let's
I'll tell you
guess,
if it's more or less.
500,000.
Oh, it's more than that. Heidi, how about you?
1.2 million.
No, it's 3.1 million
Whoa!
separate parts. Yeah, going in to build a Boeing 767 airliner. And I'll bet,
Whoa.
each screw is probably counted in that.
Oh, I suppose. That's not fair.
No, it's absolutely fair. That's how many parts it takes to make a Boeing 767.
What if they're short about 1,000 parts? Or
Well,
then you don't want to get on the
yeah,
Boeing.
skip that flight. It's not going to be good.
That's really scary because that's a lot of things that can go wrong, and you're coasting through the air on that thing.
Yeah, well, they double check. They go through their list and they say, okay, did you miscount?
Wow.
I only got 3 million. We're supposed to have 3,100,000.
when I'm putting something together, I always got a bag left over with some parts in it.
I do too. I don't know why that is. I think they send us extra parts, Charlie.
What do they do if they're building a plane? They got.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Do you know where this goes?
Did you skip
worry
step
about it.
7?
Pretty sure that was supposed to go on the nose cone, but yeah, we should be good. Well, Charlie, it is always a pleasure to chat. Thank you so much for visiting with us today.
I'll do it again next week.
All
Bye,
right.
Daddy.
Bye, Charlie.
Bye, Fluff. Bye, John.
Bye-bye. My father-in-law right there, we talk to him every week just because we can. It's a little program we like to call
Tuesdays with Charlie.
Many people have dabbled in the stock market for their very first time ever this year. If you're new to the market, but you don't want to learn things the hard way and the expensive way, I encourage you to subscribe to this free newsletter. You can get the inside track with Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com. Subscribe for free. If you change your mind, just unsubscribe. Sign up for free right now at marketbeatminute.com. That's marketbeatminute.com. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
There is a device that creates energy from snowfall. It's a pretty impressive thing that scientists have been able to harness energy from the sun and from wind and from water, providing us with all kinds of alternative energy sources. But now they've even come up with a way to create energy from snow.
Okay.
2019, the nano-energy engineers and chemists from all over from the University of California, UCLA, I've developed a device made of silicone that can harness a charge from static electricity. Snow is positively charged, and it gives up electrons, while silicone is negatively charged and accepts those electrons. This IFL, scientist explains. So as the snow lands on the silicone, a charge is produced and then captured. Think of it like a spark of energy you create when you rub a balloon against your hair. So they found a way to harness that energy, and as every one of those little snowflakes touches the silicone, it creates energy.
I wonder how effective that is.
I don't know. I mean, it'd be
how
really
much
cool.
energy it can harness.
It'd be cool if it was enough to like maybe heat things up. That'd be nice.
That'd be really nice.
Because if there's snow, it's kind of cold. So there you go. Today's fun fact.
Some credit cards have really high rates or big annual fees. Usually, people sign up for these when it's all they qualify for. If that sounds like you, it may be time to get a better credit card. Over time, your situation changes, and you may qualify for a better credit card. Your current card hopes you don't think about it, but our site shows you many options to see if there's a better credit card for you. Check it out for free at bettercreditcards.com. That's bettercreditcards.com.
Now, a news headline from somewhere in this world, Dateline, South Korea. A South Korean soccer team filled their stadium with dolls to create the look of a crowd during a game last weekend.
Oh, I saw this.
This is kind of weird. And I'll tell you the thing that's bizarre, the dolls that they chose, some looked very excited, we'll put it that way, because it was a certain type of doll that we're not going to chat about on the radio. But any kind of doll. Wouldn't it be kind of creepier to be playing with a bunch of weird dolls looking at you?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's super creepy. The whole thing was creepy. I saw pictures of the stands. It was
just
really kind of terrifying.
I think it would be better to play with nobody in the stands.
Yeah.
I just can't even.
So bizarre.
I can't even imagine. But I've got a link to the story if you want to read all the spicy details. It's in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
We're here to make it better.
If you find that drug or alcohol problems are hitting you too close to home, you can get help. Maybe it's time for rehab. Your insurance may even cover everything. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. Get help for a drug or alcohol problem within 24 hours.
We're here to make it better.
Get more information at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Now some weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. A practicing exorcist in England has claimed that frustration and anger sparked during this pandemic could lead to an increase in demonic possessions. So it says a Buddhist priest, Paul Devlin, described his first possessed victim as having pointed teeth and black eyes, sensationally believes demons could take advantage of the current fear and uncertainty. In an exclusive interview with Daily Star Online, which, they're known for their
their factual reporting.
He said, it's a very difficult time for everybody. The coronavirus has created a lot of fear and a lot of negativity. I'll agree with him on that. There's not a lot of positive stuff around at the moment. That kind of thing that the dark forces use to their advantage. It's that kind of thing that they. And then Paul warned that people in self-isolation specifically may have negative emotions, which could entice these forces. He said a vast majority of demonic possession comes from the human emotions. So I'm not saying I believe this or disbelieve this, but I thought it was certainly something that would fall under the category of weird news. Now your moment of duh, brought to you by InsuranceChicken.com. Crazy customer incidents are not slowing down at fast food restaurants during the pandemic. You'd think the dining areas of all restaurants closed would help fight the spread of craziness.
Oh, no. So many of the craziness happens in the drive-thru.
We see
even
fewer
before all of this.
stories of angry customers losing their minds inside, but outside, whole different story. April 29th, Ohio Burger King customer was not happy with the taste of his coffee, so he did what any poorly raised 2-year-old would do. He threw a temper tantrum there in a drive-thru, throwing his food at the employee who was working the window.
Oh, jeepers.
Yeah, the female employee and witnesses told police the man picked up his food, began screaming at the employee about the quality of the coffee, saying it tasted old, yelling, and that lasted for more than a minute. Then the man threw a bag of food at the employee. The angry food thrower declined to speak with officers, but he was cited for disorderly conduct. That is not the appropriate way to act, by the way.
No, of course not.
If you're not happy, just, they'll give you different stuff or they'll give you a refund. So many times there's a better solution than that. This is today's moment of duh.
Do you pay too much for insurance? Have you looked around? Or are you too chicken? Don't be afraid to look around to see if you can find a better deal at InsuranceChicken.com. We make it super simple for you to see rates from several different companies, to see what they have to offer, all in one place. Peck out great insurance deals at InsuranceChicken.com. Is it time for you to cross the road? See if we can save you money each month at InsuranceChicken.com. That's InsuranceChicken.com.
Time now for Fake News or Florida. Heidi, tell me, is this a true story from the great state of Florida, or is it hashtag fake news made up to trick you and amuse me? Ready?
Ready.
All right, here we go. Fake news or Florida. A Palm Beach golfer was busted for disorderly conduct after relieving himself in a sand trap. Fake news or Florida?
I'm going to say Florida.
No, it's fake news.
Ah.
I figured you'd bite on that one, though, because I think your dad would have done that.
Yeah, well, maybe not in the sand trap. He usually goes by a tree, at least.
He's so proud of the fact. He's like, 9 holes. I only had to go 6 times. So, all right, this has been Fake News or Florida.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. It comes your way courtesy of hashtag gift card challenge. You can find them online, and that is good news on its own, by the way. You can find them at giftcardchallenge.org. This is a cool story. Albanian beekeepers are having a golden year due to coronavirus lockdowns. So I love the fact that there are some silver linings on the dark cloud that's
for sure.
kind of engulfed the earth. One of the largest, this is kind of a cool story, it comes from Albania. It says here, one of the largest bee farms in Albania says this year is a golden year for bees thanks to a break from man-made pollution and pesticides. So factories and farms silenced by the shutdown in Albania, where their restrictions there are different, so they spew out more,
Right.
Anyway, in Albania,
and
the bees have been busier than ever. They say 68-year-old Gizem Skermo, a beekeeper in the area there, he's been a beekeeper for 50 years. He said he's never seen a season like this, saying that it's a rebirth for nature and the
Nice.
bees, which is good. That's really good.
Very, very good.
Beekeepers attribute the sudden buzz to less people in factories and less people driving cars and all that. Restrictions have brought quiet, clean air and less pesticides spraying from farmers. He said this year we didn't have any losses, unlike previous years when we found dead bees in the hives. He said there was no noise, no pollution, and nothing that could disturb them. So 5 to 15 tons of honey every year.
Whoa.
So it says they refuse to give specific figures on how much honey will be produced this season. He insists the yield will be abundant and the highest quality that you could ever have because of
Nice.
just the nature of what they're doing.
Well, that's very cool.
He said, so while bees have been shut in their home, while people have been shut in their home, the bees have not been confined, and they have been working very, hard. It's a cool story.
It's a very cool story.
I've got a link to it. It's in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Bye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to The John and Heidi Show.